very good morning to all our viewers. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television and I'm Smriti Rastogi with Breakfast News. And let's get started with the top headlines of the day. Opposition objects to multiple tax rates in GST and bill being presented as the money bill in Rajya Sabha. Finance Minister to respond today. Cabinet approval for setting up Rail Development Authority, functions to include tariff determination, level playing field for stakeholders. India rejects Pakistan's move to declare Gilgit-Baltistan as fifth province. External Affairs Minister says in Lok Sabha, whole of J&K belongs to India. Opposition says Shunglu report on Aam Aadmi Party government exposes Kejriwal's corruption. Report had accused him of gross abuse of power. And first meeting between Donald Trump and Xi Jinping as Trump hosts Chinese counterpart in Florida. Trade ties and North Korea top talks agenda. Rajya Sabha debated the 4 GST bills that will lead to a single nation, one tax on Wednesday. The government said GST will not just strengthen the Indian economy, but will also bring about an increase in the tax revenue for the states. Opposition parties supported the bill, but objected to the multiple tax rates and the bill being presented as the money bill. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley will respond to the issues raised in the discussion on Thursday.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley introduced the 4 bills related to the Goods and Services Tax 2017. The bills include the Central GST, Integrated GST, the UT GST and GST compensation. Starting the debate, Congress leader Anand Sharma said the BJP had been against the bill for 7 years. He also blamed the government for neglecting the upper house in bringing it as a money bill. Members of Parliament expressed their objection to the multiple GST rates while keeping petroleum, alcohol and real estate out of its purview.
Rajya Sabha, Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir, has been deliberately not being given that importance when it comes to important legislation. And I fail to understand why.
इलेक्ट्रिसिटी टैक्स आपने राज्यों को दे दिया, तो ये राज्यों को जब अलग अलग हो गया, पेट्रोलियम राज्यों का रखा क्योंकि राज्यों की राजस्व की कमी हो रही थी, तो जब ये राज्यों का अलग अलग हो गया तो हम कैसे समान?
For the dealer to switch more of the cost under the head of service and less on the product. So we want you to consider and think how we can address this.
उसमें सेक्शंस हैं 5%, 12%, 18%, 28%, उसके बाद में सेस है, उसके बाद में सरचार्ज है, उसके बाद में बुलियन चार्ज है. ये इस तरह से एक टैक्स को इतनी जगह डिवाइड कर दिया गया.
जटिल और कठोर पर जो इसमें प्रोविजंस किए गए हैं, उस कठोर प्रोविजन का जो लाभ है, जो डिस्क्रिशनरी पावर्स हैं, इस एक्ट में पूरे डिस्क्रिशनरी पावर्स जो हैं सरकारी अधिकारियों और कर्मचारियों के हाथ में चले जाते हैं.
Defending the bill in the Rajya Sabha, the government assured that GST implementation will increase tax collection of states and strengthen the economy. BJP said the states have been given sufficient rights.
देश के व्यापार के, गरीबी उन्मूलन के, ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस के, रोजगार के अवसरों के कारण हम लंबे समय के लिए अपने जीडीपी में बढ़ोतरी की ओर भी जीएसटी कानून के द्वारा जाएंगे.
On March 29th, Lok Sabha passed 4 key GST bills, rejecting amendments moved by the opposition. After the GST is implemented, tax will be levied as per 5 broad slabs of 5, 12, 18 and 28% on various goods and services. The government says the final GST rates will be decided in consultation with the GST Council. Panchanan Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi and CPIM General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri met in Parliament on Wednesday. The two are learned to have discussed tactics to be adopted on moving amendments on 4 GST bills. The bills were presented to Rajya Sabha earlier in the day. PTI is quoting sources as saying that the two leaders discussed the issue during their meeting inside Parliament. The source also said that Left Party is for voting and sending the bills back to Lok Sabha today. Meanwhile, India has outrightly rejected Pakistan's move to declare Gilgit-Baltistan as its fifth frontier, saying it is totally unacceptable. Replying to an issue raised by BJP leader Bhartrihari Mehtab during 0 hour in the Lok Sabha on Wednesday, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj said India condemned the move the day it was made. Swaraj said earlier the Parliament had also passed a resolution declaring the entire Jammu and Kashmir as an integral part of India. She said one should not doubt the intention and policies of the NDA government with regard to the state of Jammu and Kashmir.
Even though our parliament, our constitution recognizes Gilgit and Baltistan as an integral part of this country. But when Pakistan has recently unilaterally has taken a decision that it will be declaring that part as the fifth state other than Balochistan, Sindh, Punjab and Northwest Frontier Province, which they call it as Pashtunkhwa. Has the Indian government, Bharat Sarkar के तरफ से कोई प्रतिक्रिया आई है कि नहीं आई है?
अध्यक्ष जी, मैं उन्हें कहना चाहती हूं कि जिस दिन पाकिस्तान का ये प्रयास अखबार में आया और हमें पता चला, बिना समय गवाए 5 मिनट के भीतर भारत सरकार ने उसको खारिज किया। और जो उन्होंने कहा है कि दोनों सदनों का प्रस्ताव है, केवल लोकसभा का नहीं, लोकसभा राज्यसभा दोनों सदनों का, भारतीय संसद का ये प्रस्ताव है कि सारे का सारा कश्मीर हमारा है, पाक अधिकृत कश्मीर हमारा है। मैं सिर्फ भर्तृहरि जी को एक बात कहना चाहूंगी कि आज जो सरकार है वो प्रारंभ से ये नारा लगा रही है उसकी पार्टी कि जहां हुए बलिदान मुखर्जी वो कश्मीर हमारा है, जो कश्मीर हमारा है वो सारे का सारा है। इसलिए इस सरकार के कार्यकाल में एक क्षण भी, इस सरकार के कार्यकाल में ये आशंका करना भी कि हम किसी हिस्से को जाने देंगे, ये अपने आप में बहुत ही गलत है। हम जो संसद द्वारा पारित प्रस्ताव है उनसे भी बंधे हुए हैं और हमने अपने स्वयं के संकल्प से भी बंधे हुए हैं। इसलिए पाकिस्तान का ये कहना कि गिलगित बाल्टिस्तान को हम अपना 5वां प्रदेश बना लेंगे, ये हमें पूरी तरह अस्वीकार्य है और मैं संसद में खड़े होकर के कहना चाहती हूँ।
And on to some news from the northeast. Tibetan spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, on day 1 of Arunachal Pradesh visit, praised the secular social structure of India. He said India's secular social structure had led all religions to flourish side by side.
I am Buddhist, so religious harmony is very essential. Religious harmony possible because this country, India, over 1,000 years, is a religious harmony in there. So, most of the populated, democratic country, despite a lot of problems or difficulties, but the religious harmony over 1,000 years, you kept it. So, it is possible to develop religious harmony.
Meanwhile, India has said China is unnecessarily harping the visit of Dalai Lama to Arunachal Pradesh and has maintained that the Dalai Lama is on a religious trip. The response of the Ministry of External Affairs has come after China threatened to take action to safeguard its sovereignty over Arunachal Pradesh. Dalai Lama too refuted China's charges on India. The spiritual leader is expected to impart teachings at Dirang and confer the Avalokiteshwar permission at Thapsung, Dharge Ling Monastery today.
Inclement weather prompted the Dalai Lama to go by road to Tawang during his visit to Arunachal Pradesh. On Wednesday, he reached Bomdila, where he met local residents.
Among the Chinese, many, I think, love India. But some, the narrow-minded politicians, they have their own sort of certain view. So as I mentioned, they consider me as a demon. I don't think nobody considers me as a demon.
China has reacted sharply to the Dalai Lama's visit to a state that's an integral part of India. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Hua Chunying accused India of using Dalai Lama for political purposes and warned that China will be forced to take retaliatory steps. The accusation was readily refuted by Dalai Lama, who said India had never used him as political tool.
印方不顾中方的关切，执意安排达赖到中印边界东段争议地区活动，严重伤害中方利益和中印关系。中方对此坚决反对，并将向印方提出严正的交涉。
You see, for material development, remain within the People's Republic of China. It's our interest. And then not separate. So the Chinese government also feel okay. Should feel okay. So that's mutual benefit, mutually. Like that. And then one time, same time, the Chinese government must give us meaningful self-rule, autonomy, and must take care, full care about environment.
Dalai Lama has visited Arunachal Pradesh more than half a dozen times. External Affairs Ministry said China was creating an artificial controversy to complicate relations. China's extreme reaction comes at a time when it is making inroads into Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, that is a part of India. The External Affairs Ministry is looking at the situation as a ploy to dilute its own actions in POK. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will lay the foundation stone of the multi-modal terminal on the river Ganga in Jharkhand today. The project is an important component of the proposed national waterway between Varanasi and Haldia. During his Jharkhand visit, the Prime Minister will also inaugurate the Govindpur-Jamtara-Dhumka Sahibganj highway. He will also dedicate a solar power facility at the Sahibganj District Court premises and Sahibganj District Hospital to the nation. The multimodal terminal at Sahibganj is an important component of the development of the National Waterway 1 from Varanasi to Haldia. The state-of-the-art terminal will have a cargo handling capacity of 2.24 million tons per annum. The project is expected to benefit rural areas by creating jobs and business opportunities. With that, we'll head into a very short break. More national, international and sports news on the other side. Stay with us.
All large galaxies have a very massive black hole in the middle. This is the GMRT in India. It's near Pune, built entirely by Indians. It is the greatest, largest radio telescope in the world to show the effects of these supermassive black holes in the middle of galaxies, massive galaxies.
Watch Eureka with Professor Somak Rai Chaudhary, Director at IUCA Pune, only on Rajya Sabha Television.
Homai Vyarawala, better known by her pseudonym Dalda 13, was India's first woman photojournalist. Vyarawala entered the field of photojournalism in the late 1930s. For nearly 30 years till she retired in the early 1970s, at the peak of her career, she made a massive impact. Vyarawala clicked some iconic pictures of political and national leaders. Gandhiji, Nehru, Jinnah, Indira Gandhi have been subjects of her vast photographic collection. Prime Minister Nehru, she says, was her favourite. In 2011, Homai Vyarawala was conferred the Padma Vibhushan, the country's second highest civilian award.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. The Union Cabinet meeting chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday took an array of decisions and approved many MOUs. These include setting up of an independent rail development authority regulatory mechanism in New Delhi. Also the closure of the Mahatma Gandhi Pravasi Suraksha Yojana, which was set up in 2012. The government will now focus on Pravasi Bharatiya Bima Yojana. Also proposal of the Ministry of Home Affairs for extension of the implementation phase of the Crime and Criminals Tracking Network and System project for another year beyond March 31st, 2017 has been approved. Apart from this, the Cabinet also approved MOU on passenger cruise services on the coastal and protocol routes between India and Bangladesh, MOU between India and Bangladesh in the field of judicial sector cooperation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been apprised of the MOU signed with Italy on technical cooperation in railway sector, MOU between the Airports Authority of India and its French counterpart, Civil Aviation Authority DGAC. France to implement technical cooperation program in the civil aviation sector. The Cabinet also approved the signing of the Air Services Agreement between India and Georgia. And RBI will unveil the first bi-monthly review of 2017-18 today. The central bank is unlikely to cut interest rates in the view of hardening inflation. Wholesale inflation soared to a 39-month high of 6.55% in February, while retail inflation inched up to 3.65% due to rise in food and fuel prices. The Monetary Policy Committee, headed by RBI Governor Urjit Patel, began its two-day meeting on Wednesday. This will be the fourth bi-monthly policy based on the recommendations of the six-member MPC. Urjit Patel had last cut the repo rate by 25 basis points to 6.25% in October 2016 policy review. He had kept it on hold in December and February policy reviews, but shifted its policy stance from accommodative to neutral in its last review. The three-member Shunglu committee formed by then Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung has pointed out gross abuse of power by Arvind Kejriwal government in its report. The committee has flagged decisions including the allotment of land to the Aam Aadmi Party for its party office, appointment of Minister Satyendra Jain's daughter as a mission director of Delhi State Health Mission, and a number of purported Aam Aadmi Party functionaries as advisors. The report, which runs into over 100 pages, deals with decisions including appointment of certain individuals as advisors to the government taken by Kejriwal and his cabinet, where it had no authority to do so and without the LG's concurrence. The report observes that the genesis of the conflict lay in an April 2015 order issued by Kejriwal to all the departments, directing them to take decisions without consulting the Lieutenant Governor. Meanwhile, Delhi Congress Chief Ajay Makan took to Twitter to announce that he got the report as a part of an RTI query and that it exposes corruption in the Aam Aadmi Party government. The BJP has said that Aam Aadmi Party should be made to pay a price for this.
मैं समझता हूं कानून को कड़ी से कड़ी सजा इनको देनी चाहिए। संगलो रिपोर्ट के बाद इनके साथ कोई भी सहानुभूति नहीं रखी जानी चाहिए, क्योंकि जितना मौका देंगे ये लगातार दिल्ली के गरीबों के पैसों को लूट रहे हैं और आगे भी लूटेंगे। कानून भी सजा दे और आगे आने वाले चुनाव में जनता भी सजा दे।
And the centre on Wednesday told the Supreme Court that NGOs will now have to execute a bond in favour of President of India. It also said that any breach of trust will entail refund of grants while inviting the tag of blacklisted organisation. It also said to regulate the funding and use of grants by over 32 lakhs NGOs and voluntary organisations. Their financial statements will be audited annually by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India and Chartered Accountants. The centre, which tightened the monitoring process of accounts of NGOs, has framed the guidelines under which every auditor will have access to all the books, vouchers and other records in possession of the organisation concerned. The centre also barred the appointment of auditors if they are in any way related or have business interest with the office bearers of the voluntary organisations or NGOs. And a look at what else is making news across the nation and nationwide. Nearly 40% of the total 4,605 nominations filed for April 23rd MCT elections have been rejected by the Election Commission. A total of 1,796 nominations to 272 wards of the 3 municipal corporations due to errors of different kinds. The nomination papers of the 4 BJP candidates in MCT polls were also reportedly cancelled. Amid Election Commission's plan to invite politicians to try and hack EVMs, the Aam Aadmi Party has asked the poll body to allow it to pick machines randomly from Uttar Pradesh and Punjab, where assembly elections were recently held. The party has also requested the Election Commission to provide the details of components used for storage of memory in voting machines. The Income Tax Department has clarified that quoting of Aadhaar in filling of returns for assessment of the year 2017 and 18 is mandatory. The move is as per the Finance Act 2017. Also, Aadhaar has been made mandatory for applying for permanent account number with effect from 1st July 2017. The Bharatiya Janata Party is celebrating its foundation day today. On this occasion, the party will launch a drive to focus on Lok Sabha seats it lost in 2014. It will be an 8-day drive between April 6th and 14th, with a host of senior party leaders scheduled to visit their 120 Lok Sabha constituencies, which the party lost. And on to some international news now. US President Donald Trump and China's President Xi Jinping are to hold their first summit encounter on Thursday at Mar-a-Lago, Florida. The summit will seek to forge a connection and to stabilize the world's most important diplomatic relationship, despite a gulf between them in experience, temperament and global outlook. Topping the agenda at Mar-a-Lago will be US-China trade ties and US request for China to help rein in its nuclear-armed neighbor, North Korea. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has condemned the killing of civilians in northern Syria in an apparent chemical weapon attack by Syria's Air Force. President Trump called the suspected chemical attack an affront to humanity that crossed a lot of lines. However, he declined to say if the US would respond. Trump also continued to blame his predecessor, President Barack Obama, for the attack, saying his predecessor's failure to respond to a similar attack in 2013 opened the door for future strikes. Trump acknowledged that he has responsibility now that he is in the office. According to UK-based monitoring group, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, 20 children and 52 adults were killed in the chemical attack in Khan Sheikhoun, Idlib province on Tuesday. The suspected chemical attack led the United Nations to replace a scheduled Security Council sessions for Wednesday with an emergency meeting.
A chemical attack that was so horrific in Syria against innocent people, including women, small children, and even beautiful little babies. Their deaths was an affront to humanity. These heinous actions by the Assad regime cannot be tolerated. The United States stands with our allies across the globe to condemn this horrific attack and all other horrific attacks for that matter.
And in IPL, Defending champions Sunrisers Hyderabad got off to a winning start with a comfortable 35-run victory over Royal Challengers Bangalore in the opening match. Batting first, Sunrisers Hyderabad rode on superb half-centuries from Yuvraj Singh and Moises Henriques to put a massive total of 207 for 4 in their 20 overs. Shikhar Dhawan also contributed with a handy 40 runs. In reply, RCB were bowled out for 172 runs in 19.4 overs, with Afghanistan spinner Rashid Khan picking up 2 for 36 on his debut match. Chris Gayle top scored for RCB with 32 runs. Yuvraj Singh was named man of the match for his 62 runs of 27 balls. And that's what we have for you in this edition of Breakfast News. Keep watching Rajya Sabha TV.